Ryan stood frozen for a moment, listening to the echo of the knock fade through the quiet house. His heart tightened. Something about the timing felt strange, almost too perfect, too sharp, as if the world had suddenly decided to reclaim what he had been protecting. He glanced toward the living room where the girl sat on the rug beside his son, quietly tracing shapes on the wooden eagle with her small finger. She looked calmer than the day he found her, but her eyes still carried a depth of fear that no child should ever have known. He approached the door slowly, wiping his palms against his jeans, unsure why nerves had suddenly taken hold of him. Maybe because deep down he sensed that this knock wasn't ordinary. He hesitated only a second before pulling the door open, and what he saw made him instinctively step back. 3 women stood on his porch, dressed in long traditional Apache garments, their faces etched with exhaustion, desperation, and something that looked dangerously close to heartbreak. Dust clung to their hems as though they had been searching for days without rest. The eldest woman stepped forward. Her eyes were sharp and heavy with grief, yet hopeful in a way that struck Ryan in the chest. "Sir, we're looking for a missing child," she said softly. Her voice trembled on the last word. The younger 2 women clutched each other's hands, their breaths unsteady. Ryan didn't answer right away. His mind raced, connecting dots, memories, and possibilities. A missing Apache child. A girl found alone in the desert. The fear in her eyes. The wooden eagle. It all clicked at once, sending a chill up his spine. Before he could respond, tiny footsteps padded softly behind him. The girl peeked out from behind his leg, her fragile hand gripping the fabric of his jeans. The moment the women saw her, everything shattered. One of them gasped so loudly it cut through the air. Another covered her mouth, tears pouring instantly. The eldest woman dropped to her knees on Ryan's porch, her cry escaping like a prayer that had been held inside for too many sleepless nights. "She's alive," she whispered. "Thank the Creator, she's alive." The girl's eyes widened. For a heartbeat, she didn't move, frozen as if unsure whether this moment was real or another memory she could not trust. But then the eldest woman reached out her hands, trembling, open, waiting. The girl stepped forward slowly, then broke into a sudden run, throwing her arms around the woman's neck with a desperate, shaking grip. The woman held her so tightly, as if letting go again would shatter her world. The other 2 women joined, creating a circle of trembling arms and tears around the child they had feared they might never see again. Ryan watched in silence, overwhelmed by the rawness of the moment unfolding in front of him. The desert wind lifted the edges of their clothes, carrying the sound of their cries into the still morning air. For 4 days, he had cared for the girl, unsure of her story, unsure of where she belonged. Now he was seeing the truth in its purest form. These women weren't strangers, they were her family, her lifeline, the ones who had searched through nights colder than they should have ever endured for a child they refused to lose. After several emotional minutes, the women finally stood, still holding the girl close. The eldest wiped her eyes and faced Ryan with gratitude deeper than words. She explained haltingly that the girl had wandered off during a family gathering near the reservation. When she didn't return, the entire community had searched endlessly, terrified that the desert had swallowed her innocence. Their voices cracked as they thanked Ryan for feeding her, sheltering her, and keeping her safe when she had no one else. Ryan felt his throat tighten. He had only done what any decent human should do, yet to them, he had done everything. As the women prepared to leave, the eldest gently took Ryan's hand and placed the wooden eagle in his palm. "She carved this," the woman said softly. "It's her way of remembering people who protect her. Please, keep it. For your kindness." Ryan looked down at the small carving, its details rough yet filled with a child's sincerity. He closed his hand around it, feeling its warmth, realizing he had been part of a miracle without even knowing it. And as their truck drove away, disappearing into the endless Arizona horizon, Ryan stood on the porch with the carving pressed to his chest, grateful, humbled, and Ryan remained frozen on the porch, the weight of the wooden eagle warm against his trembling palm. The wind brushed past him, carrying the fading sound of the truck's engine into the desert silence. Inside, his house still felt charged with the emotion that had just unfolded, a storm of relief, love, and gratitude that didn't belong to him, yet had swept through his life like lightning. He looked down at the eagle again, running his thumb over its rough edges. The small carving held a story, one he had been part of without asking, without expecting anything in return. He stepped back inside slowly, almost cautiously, as if afraid the air would still hold their cries. His son stood by the couch, eyes wide with confusion and curiosity. Ryan offered him a tired smile and knelt beside him, explaining gently what had happened, though he doubted a 6-year-old could fully understand the meaning of saving someone's child. But his son listened quietly, nodding the way children do when they sense something important has taken place. Then he reached out and touched the wooden eagle, whispering, "She's safe now." Ryan nodded, feeling emotion twist inside him. He walked to the window and watched the dust trail settle back onto the long road stretching toward the reservation lands. He imagined the little girl, her tiny hands gripping her family, her silent fear finally fading, replaced with warmth she knew and trusted. He felt a strange ache in his chest, a mix of loss and relief. For 4 days, his home had held a fragile life. It had felt fuller, louder, softer, all at once. Now that she was gone, the house felt strangely quiet, as if waiting for someone who wouldn't return. Yet Ryan knew he had done the right thing, no matter how much he had grown attached. He remembered the moment he found her shivering by the gas station, the way she stared with those wide, wounded eyes. He remembered her first smile when his son offered her a toy, the way she traced the eagle carving before bed. Those moments were now stitched permanently into his memory. Even though she had left, the feeling remained. He had witnessed a family broken by fear and healed by hope. That was something he would carry forever. Later that afternoon, Ryan stepped outside with a coffee in hand, letting the sun warm his face. He sat on the porch steps, the wooden eagle resting beside him, catching the light on its carved wings. The desert stretched endlessly around him, rugged, unforgiving, yet holding stories of survival older than anything he could imagine. He wondered how far the girl had wandered, how scared she must have been, how strong she had needed to be to endure the desert nights. And then he thought about the women, about the desperation in their eyes as they searched the land for someone they loved more than life itself. As the day passed, Ryan replayed the moment the eldest woman had placed the carving in his hand. Her grip had been gentle but firm, filled with gratitude that words could never fully capture. "For your compassion," she had said. Such a simple sentence, but it carried centuries of meaning. Compassion was survival. Compassion was community. Compassion was the reason the little girl was alive. He felt humbled, almost unworthy of the gift, because in his mind, all he had done was what any human should do. But to them, it had been everything. That night, after putting his son to bed, Ryan sat alone at the kitchen table. The house creaked softly, settling into its nighttime stillness. He placed the wooden eagle in front of him, staring at it as if it were a doorway into a world he had only glimpsed. The girl's small fingerprints were still visible on the carved wings. Ryan smiled faintly. He knew he might never see her again, and yet, in some unexplainable way, she had become a part of his story. A reminder that even in the vast, unforgiving desert, humanity could still bloom, quietly, unexpectedly, beautifully.